can be surprising at times how similar we as humans are. We all experience similar emotions. Sigmund Freud said that we all had similar urges and similar egos. Yet, there are other times when we wonder, how can we be so different? How can there be people out there who are so disturbed? People who do things that are morally wrong, and they make us feel ashamed and confused. And yet, there are other people who are so unselfish, people who aspire to do good in this world, and they motivate us to do the same. In today's episode, both of those sides are represented. They are polar opposites, but they are related by blood. Welcome to MarathonManUK.
Who are the MarathonMeisters?
Committing to the goal and galvanizing you and your team behind that one single focus.
Being at peace with that fear and being okay with it.
You gain a real appreciation for your life and for what you have.
Learn about their extreme lives on rock, snow, and ice with your host, Ben Shank.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of MarathonMeister. This is Ben speaking, your host, and today with me, I'm excited to welcome Rob Young. Rob, welcome.
Hey, buddy. Thank you very much. I'm blessed to be here.
Rob, quite simply, we have people on this show who do incredible things, and your version of that is running at least 367 marathons in 365 days to raise money for charity. But there is so much more to your story than that. And honestly, I'm having a little bit of trouble putting your story into words. I've had this non-stop sensation of chills for the entire time I've been reading about you. I hope that we together can allow our listeners that same sensation. Anyway, first, I normally like to start with lighter topics. So for the listeners, let's picture the person who's running 367 marathons in 365 days. And then I want you to envision a different person. This person is from the UK and wearing a kilt. However, they're the same person, Rob. You wear a kilt when you run. What are you doing?
Well, basically, it all started, my very first one, I said to a bunch of kids, I said, hey, guys, go away, find me some clothes to wear, and I'll wear whatever you want me to wear on my first run. So they went away, they found a kilt, they got me multicolored fairy wings, multicolored wand, they got me purple scuba goggles, and I said to them, what about my shoes? And obviously I ended up having to barter for my shoes as well. So I had to give them some pocket money to allow me to wear some running shoes. And that was it. I didn't have a top. And pretty much the next day I went off and ran my first marathon. And they loved it. They loved seeing me in that gear. And I pretty much enjoyed seeing their faces light up, and that's how it's stuck with me ever since. Obviously, I've changed the fairy wings and the purple scuba goggle for a running vest, and obviously to long knee-high multicolored socks now with daisies drawn all over them and other weird designs as well.
How does the kilt work for running?
Well, it's terrible, especially when you get wet. I mean, on the weekend I went to do a mountain race. Ran through a river, got absolutely soaking wet, and my goodness, it's really is heavy to deal with. And but it's become part of me now. It's become almost as if, I mean, you could literally pretty much attach it to my body, and I'm happy to live in it for the rest of my life. I think now I've got so used to it.
Mm-hmm. Rob, this is going to be a really interesting conversation that may in fact turn out to be very different from our others. Normally, we talk about what our guests have already accomplished. They are reflective, but in this case, you're in the middle of the endeavor. What number are you on? How many marathons are you in?
So basically, I'm going to be running my 205th marathon in 192 days. I believe I'm 13 marathons ahead at the moment in terms of days. And when I say marathons, I like the 100-mile races or the 120-mile races. I only count them as one marathon because it's one race. So I'm probably be another 20 marathons ahead, maybe 30 marathons ahead if I counted the actual number of miles I've run. But because I only count those distances as one marathon, I only say that I've done 205 marathons now in 193 days. Or 192 days, sorry.
Your standards are high. I would normally consider a 120-mile race 5 marathons, but hey.
Just the one, buddy. That's in my eyes, that's all it counts because it's one race and it's one marathon.
Mm-hmm. Are you more tired physically or emotionally at this point?
I think the running side of things, it's not too bad. I'm not so tired with the running. What is very tiring is getting from one event to the next and pretty much all the logistics of the actual getting around what's involved in it.
Mm-hmm. I want to stress to the listeners, Rob is still working a full-time job, and if you thought that you had difficulty balancing your time, Rob, you run a marathon before every day at work.
Yeah, so pretty much I run my marathon. As soon as I finish the marathon, I throw on some clothes, I jump on a train, I go straight to my workplace. I do my days. Well, I have a quick wash in the sink, and because there's no showers there, so I have a quick wash in the sink and pretty much work the full day, which is 9 hours, and then go home, give my boy and the missus a kiss, and then it's pretty much eat, wash, obviously respond to all my my wonderful fans out there and to all the people that are following me. And I always try and make an effort to respond to absolutely everyone what messages me, because for me, I find a lot of elite athletes or a lot of athletes in general don't actually communicate with their fans. And for me, if you're in that position, then you should, in theory, relate to your fans. And I like to think that I have a very good connection with everyone here in the UK. And hopefully I can do that again in America and obviously just take my story further afield. And I think I'm doing that at the moment, and we'll see where we go with it.
Absolutely. And I think your story is going to resonate with a lot of people, a lot of our listeners. And I agree with you that it's your responsibility, being in the position that you are now, to engage with all of these people. So thank you for that. When I said in the beginning of the show that there is so much more to this story, I wasn't kidding. Your childhood was characterized by something so disturbing and morally wrong. You say on your website that your early years were difficult and painful, full of experiences you survived rather than lived. Rob, your father abused you. What do you remember from that?
Yeah, pretty much. I've been through every experience you can think of in life as a child. I've been through where I've been thrown down the stairs in suitcases and been hit with planks of wood. I've watched the raping of my sister and various other bits and pieces. And to be honest with you, it's been a tough childhood. At that time, obviously, I thought it was normal. I thought, everything that happened then was normal. It wasn't until I ran away, because obviously the last day my dad tried tying a rope around my neck and lifting me up off the ground and attaching me to the wall. And I thought my life was going to end that day, because I watched my dog get hung previously. So I've obviously had experience in viewing that, or viewing the death of something. So it wasn't actually a sad moment for me. It was actually a peaceful moment for me, because I thought that was going to happen to me. And I was happy to get away from that circumstances. And I didn't know any different than that. And then obviously when we ran away and I got taken into an orphanage, and I was moved around the country until I got adopted at the age of 11. I didn't know any differently, so I didn't know it was wrong. But then obviously I figured out as the years went on, it was wrong and it was a bad childhood. But I came to terms with that and I accepted it. And after many, many years, I forgave my father, and I've never had a problem discussing it. And I think that's what we need to try and get out to people, that don't be frightened about your past or what's happened to you. You can actually get over what you've been through, and talking about it and sharing it. There's no shame. I think that's the biggest thing about all of this. It's the shame. It's not the fact that it's happened and it's painful. I think a lot of people find that I'm ashamed for what's happened to me. But you know what? It's not your fault. You couldn't have done anything about it. It's not your fault. So don't be ashamed about it. Actually go out and say, you know what? I'm not ashamed for my past. What I can control what happened to me, and I'm telling my story now, and be positive about your life.
How did you come to that realization? Because obviously there are people out there who don't come to that realization. What clicked?
I think when I was about 8 years old, and I was quite, I'll put it quite bluntly, I think I was quite disturbed in the sense of I didn't know what was going on with me, because I was moving around in orphanages. I was being bullied. I was trying to be the person what I was trying to bully, so that I didn't have to get bullied. So I was getting in all sorts of trouble, and then someone said to me, I think one of the carers, they turned to me and said, "You're going to end up like your father." And that clicked. And as soon as I heard that was it. There's no way that's ever going to happen to me. I'm never going to be like that. And that's when everything changed for me. And that's how I started to move on. And I pretty much was happy to discuss my past with anyone, really. And as of late, it's become a lot more easier to talk about it. Yes, there are some subjects which are touchy for me, but if I can share my story, then I think anyone else can share their story and pretty much move on with their life and just get over it, really.
You said that there are touchy subjects for you now, and I don't mean to press you too much, but as you said, talking about it is part of the recovery process. What is touchy for you now?
I think one real moment, what makes me sort of well up, and that's when we left my father, we went to like a safe house, and he found us there. So we ran away from there. They put us into another safe house, and we didn't feel secure there. So we started to walk from there to where my granddad's was. And it was, I think it's about 500 miles. And after a day's worth of walking, obviously we slept in a ditch. And a car passed us earlier one morning going down towards, obviously you don't know the UK, I don't think too well, but basically from the north of England to the south of England, they passed us going down, and on the way back they've obviously saw us again, and they pulled over, and the guy got out, and I was trying to protect my mother and my sister, and then obviously you could see that I was in distress, and he got the lady that he was with out the car as well, and eventually everything was okay, and they took us off to a sort of like a roadside restaurant, and there was sorry, I'm breathing heavily now because I'm talking about something which I've never actually talked to anyone else about, actually. So
take your time here.
They took us to a restaurant, and I've never really had any real good food my entire life. And my mum would have to make a pot of stew, and that would have to last me until the end of the week, pretty much one whole week. And by sort of mid-week, it would be mouldy and everything else, and because it was always left on the stove, so it wasn't very good food to eat. And I remember them buying a burger, and it was the first bite I had of this burger. It's the best, tastiest thing I've ever tasted in my entire life, even to this day. And I remember it quite clearly, obviously, having that, and that really touched me, that someone else was there to care enough to give me something which I never had in my entire life. And I think that's what I want to do now. I want to inspire people to open up and don't be frightened and don't be scared, because there's always people like me what's there to back you up and always there to help you out.
Have you ever been back to taste that burger again?
I don't think I'm going to find a tastier burger than that one. I might have to come over to America. I heard that you guys do really good burgers over there.
Yes, you heard correctly. The burgers here, good is probably an understatement. They are juicy, dreamy, As you can tell, I'm very hungry right now. And to be completely honest, I've heard that the burgers in England are terrible. So.
Well, I probably agree with you. I've seen some of the TV programs, and it's been a bit of a dream to come over there and taste some of your burgers and race some of your races over there. So maybe I can do both at some point down the line.
We would absolutely love to have you, Rob. And for the listeners, we're going to talk about ways that we can make this happen after our discussion here. Let's go to the running now, Rob, and we can talk a little bit later about how you reflect on your childhood experiences. I mean, you've had a recovery process, as you said. Do you think that the running is part of the recovery process right now?
No, I don't know if you know about how it all started, but pretty much my partner, we were watching one of the marathons over in the UK, and I turned to my partner, I said, I'd love to run a marathon. And she pretty much turned back and said, buddy, you're not going to be able to run a marathon ever. Mm-hmm. So I said, you know what? I can run 10 marathons. And then she said, no, I bet you, blah, 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 that you can't do it. And I said, yes, I can. Okay, that's it. I'm doing 50. I got to 50 and I was like, I'm not doing any more. That's it. I'm going to try 50. And we started off and it just progressed from there. And I've always wanted to raise money for 3 great charities or some charities, which I've been through in the past, and pretty much I've always wanted to do a long distance and a long distance event, and it all pieced together very quickly, and it all sort of gelled together, and that's how it all came about.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I really love about running, I do a lot of running now, not even close to the amount that you're doing. I shouldn't have even said that. That just makes me feel terrible that I said that I do a lot of running. But
marathons, or
I'm training for the New York City Marathon.
You got to do a certain time for that?
I'm running it for charity as well.
Okay.
I'm running for the Challenged Athletes Foundation. As our listeners know, they provide support to athletes with physical disabilities.
Fantastic.
Really, really looking forward to it. But I'm doing that one time. You're doing a marathon every single day and more. As I was saying, I love how I can just get lost in my thoughts when I run. And you're spending a significant amount of your life running. I want to kind of dip into your mind. What kind of thoughts are going through your head when you're running?
Oh, to be honest with you, when I first started, I had every thought in the world. Once you run as many marathons as I ran in such a short period, there's you pretty much thought of everything, and then it comes down to more about having fun and interacting with everybody, and that's what I think that's the beauty of running. It's the interaction of other runners, and I don't care about coming first. I don't care about coming last. For me, I'm doing a challenge. I got to run at a certain pace, because I don't think, for me, as a okay-ish runner, I don't believe that I should be running, really, really slowly. And I don't believe that I should be walking the entire race when I can actually run. Mm-hmm. If I get to a point where I can't run anymore and I have to walk, then yeah, fair enough. But for me, I think about number 3, because I always run the first 3 miles very hard and very fast. And as soon as I get to 3 miles, I then get into a comfortable pace. So no matter wherever I am during the race, let's say I'm at mile 13 or mile 14, I say, buddy, you're only at mile 3. So my mind switches back to getting back into that comfortable position. And if I'm not racing, going out to race hard, then I'll just sit back and I'll grab loads of water or some food at the feed station, and I'll actually make sure that when I see the runners coming back towards me further along the road, I will hand out the water and hand out the sweets or whatever they may have. And I just make sure that I try and communicate with the runners. And I think that's the beauty of running is helping each other out and just pretty much sharing the running together. And I think the running community is actually more of a family community. And I think, you probably know this, how much support that you get around the courses and that when you run. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the beauty of running.
There's so much passion in your voice, yet the first marathon you ran was not that long ago. Did you ever envision discovering something like this?
No, I mean, it's quite interesting because I've been tested by over here. It's the national body, it's the Institute of Sports, Exercise and Health, and they've tested me at quite a long extended period, and they've realised that I can keep running for hours and hours and hours and hours for as long as I really want to, at about 11 kilometers an hour. So I can run, 12 hours. 15 hours at 11 kilometers an hour, and I can keep at that pace for as long as I want to keep at. And I've done stuff where I ran 60 miles to get to a race start. I run a marathon, and then I'll run off back to the station, which is another 20 miles to jump on the train. So one weekend I did 303 kilometers in less than 46 hours. And again, that was fairly comfortable as well. But as long as I keep at that sort of pace, if I start going too fast or too slow, I get tired very easily because I'm out of my optimal prime or my optimal race pace, if I can say that.
This is absolutely incredible, Rob, and I'm sure you've been told this so many times before. We normally like to get a gear recommendation from all of our guests. And I'll say that we don't always talk about gear on this show, but when we do, we prefer that it comes from a person who's going to run 367 marathons in 365 days. Rob, give our listeners something they have to have.
They have to have a kilt to start with. They have to have long, multicolored socks. And I don't know if you can possibly post a picture of. Maybe I can send you a picture and you can post what I wear. I think pretty much everything that I'm wearing is the standard. I reckon everybody. I think every race they should have a standard kit list of a kilt in every race. In fact, let's do it.
I love it. There are zombie runs in the United States. There are paint-colored runs. We need a kilt and colored sock run.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
You will absolutely see a picture of Rob in the kilt and the colored socks on our website, MTNmeister.com, under Rob's Meister profile page. As we start to wind down, I wanted to return back to how you reflect on your childhood. Do you know where your father is now?
I believe he's in prison. He got done again for rape again, and I only found this out some 8 or so years ago when I tried getting back in contact with my mother and that, but obviously that didn't work out too well. So I'm pretty much, I've got my own family now. I've got 2 wonderful kids, and I got a great partner, and to be honest, I got a really good team around me, and I've got a really good place to live, and so life is wonderful for me, and I don't really want to do, that's the old family. That's my past, and I believe my life and my family starts with my current family, and obviously going forward, when my children have children, the family line starts with us.
So there are many times when children with abusive parents grow up and do the same things to their own kids, and you mentioned that somebody had told you that you would end up like your father. Have you felt those kind of sick emotions, or can you even relate to that?
No, because for me, everyone chooses their path, and if I chose the path which most psychologists or most people say that, well, this percentage will go down that line because of their father or because of their past, I think that's total nonsense. I think that's wrong, because everyone's got the choice in life. You've got a choice to do, I don't know, go to your car and get in your car and drive somewhere. I've got a choice to go and run a marathon. We all have choices, and therefore it's your choice, or that individual choice, to go and do those things to that person. So if they go and do those certain things, or whatever you do in life, it's your choice, and therefore you're held responsible for what you've done because it's your choice.
That's an interesting point you bring up about choices. The human brain is just a weird thing. You made the choice to run all these marathons. How have you changed as a person from the first until now? I
think I've become a lot calmer. I'm a lot quieter when I speak, or a lot quieter in person. But pretty much I suppose I see more of myself trying to inspire more children. I see myself maybe not a role model, because I think there's a lot of role models out there, but maybe I can at least try to inspire some people. And I see myself as that sort of person. I can relate to people because I've been through it, and I've been there and I've done it. And I think because I can relate to them, I have a very good understanding, a lot more understanding than a lot of people. And I think that's what people in this world with circumstances that I've been through, I think they need people like myself to be able to relate to in order to come out with their story and be open with themselves as well.
Mm-hmm. So many inspiring people on this podcast who have faced adversity and rebounded from serious hardship. You're a perfect example of that. And when you have every reason to quit, whether it's in your current endeavor right now or what you faced as a child, for some reason, we as humans just keep going, and we're so resilient. Do you consciously feel that resilience inside of you? Yes, definitely. I think everyone's got it. And it's two phrases I use a lot is beyond limits. And I think everyone can go beyond their limits. And there's another phrase which is never give up. And I think that everyone, no matter what you do, when you start getting tired or when you're doing some work or whatever you're doing, you're getting to that point where you can't go any further, and you say to yourself, never give up. You know what? You'll push through and you'll keep going. And then you'll end up reaching your limits, basically, and you'll pass through those limits and keep going. And I think they're the two phrases for people to remember is beyond your limits, you can achieve that, and never give up. Because if you never give up, you're going to reach going beyond those limits. I've said this before, and I will say it again. We try to do a lot of things on this show, but if there's one thing that we do really, really well, it's that we present things that are so incredible that it just really puts everything else in perspective. Thank you for telling us your story, Rob. I really enjoyed picking your brain. For the listeners, what Rob is doing cannot be done without support. I highly encourage you to check out MarathonManUK.com. I'll have the links posted to our website. You can learn a little bit more about Rob's story and really, really look at it and consider making a donation to help Rob come over and visit the U.S. and run a few miles over here. Well, Ben, to be honest with you, there is a way where maybe your listeners can come and meet me, and maybe I can meet them. I'm thinking about coming over to doing some. I think you've got a race which is Race Across America, mm-hmm. And I think I might actually put in for a few of those stages. And I mean, if the race organisers are very, very helpful and look after me, maybe I'll be able to get some entries to go and run some of their races. And maybe if I can do that, I can come over and I can meet some of your guests and maybe meet you in person as well and say hello to you guys. I would love nothing more. And we'll get you a cheeseburger while we're at it. Ben, one more question. Yeah, absolutely. I got asked this question. I think you should ask this question to every runner that you have on your show. If you could do 1 mile after you've done all your training, what would be your mile time? And I reckon you should have a leaderboard. And I reckon you should say, I said to myself that I reckon I could do 4 minutes 30. Dean Canasius, mm-hmm. he said that he could do 4 minutes 29. So he's a second quicker than me. So I think we should put out maybe every time you do one, have a minute mile or a 1 mile best effort. What could you do? 1 mile best effort. I love it. What could you do? I think that, you know what? I think that I could do 5:41. How's that sound? I reckon you can do faster than that. You look faster? Like all right, yeah. I think I could do faster. Okay, so, maybe you can help me with this answer. I ran a 5K in 1939 the other day. So those are 6:19 miles. What do you think I can do for 1 mile? Maybe 5:19?
No, you got to be able to do that. You're gonna have to. You got to be close to 5 minutes.
You are way too optimistic, Rob.
No, Betty, seriously, I reckon you could. I reckon 5 minutes. But you're doing 3 miles.
See,
right? So let's cut it down to 1 mile. You have your best physios. You got the best doctors around you. You got the optimal training that you can possibly do. You got no worries in the world. You got to do 1 fast mile.
All right. So you've got me in a conundrum because I am a realist, Rob. But I do need to be a dreamer too. Well, should I try to break 5 minutes?
You know what? One of my charities is Dreams Come True. Make your dream come true. Tell me what your mile can be.
All right, 4:59. How's that?
4:59. Fantastic.
I got to shoot for that. I'm working on the distance for the marathon. After the marathon, I'll work on the speed. How's that sound?
No, buddy.
Any other requests when you come over to America?
You guys have, last time I came over to America, you guys do this Red Mountain Dew, right?
Like the drink?
Yeah, it's like Red Mountain Dew.
Yeah, Code Red, I think it's called.
Oh, Code Red, that's the one.
Do you like that stuff?
That was my favorite drink at one point.
Really?
Yes, it was my favorite drink. And now in the UK, I've been looking for it everywhere. They don't have it in the UK. So when I come over there, honestly, I'm you know, when you go if I ever go and do this race in across America or do some of the races, honestly, the entire boot is just going to be full of Code Red.
You stock up on Red Mountain Dew.
Honestly.
Burgers and Red Mountain Dew. What a diet. At least you're running it off.
Chips, whatever you guys got in terms of food. And Code Red, I'm all over that.
Rob, we need to have you over for more than just one race, because then you can really experience all that America has to have. You could go down south, get some barbecue. Oh,
dude, I'll have to do the entire race across America, I think.
Right, yes, experience every single...
Honestly, I think that's gonna be my dream. There you go, there's my dream, there's my wish.
That's your wish, yes, okay. So I'm running a 4:59 mile somehow. I haven't figured out how yet. And Rob, you're going to run across America.
I'm going to run across America, and I'm going to have an entire boot full of Code Red.
I'll tell you, we run this podcast out of Boston, and you have to have a lobster roll and some clam chowder.
That is awesome. I'm all over that as well.
The clam chowder goes down really well during a marathon.
I'm up for it, buddy. I'll do it every mile. I'll go for it every mile.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Rob. It has been lovely having you.
Thank you very much. It's very, very kind for you guys to allow me to come over to America on your show, and hopefully some of your listeners can get some inspiration from what I've been through, and hopefully together we can help some people out.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening to that episode with Rob Young, MarathonManUK, one of those stories that makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. And if for some reason this didn't do it for you, Rob has just created a video that tells his story with the Coldplay song Fix You playing in the background, and you might just shed a tear watching that. We have it posted to our Facebook wall. It'll also be on Rob's Meister profile page. Check that out. Also, consider making a donation so we can get Rob over here to try some American cheeseburgers, some Mountain Dew Code Red, lobster rolls, clam chowder, some Southern barbecue, maybe some Georgia peaches, Florida oranges, California. We'll stop there. Thank you for listening to me rant. If you like this podcast, subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud,